So we've got participants coming in. I'll give it just a minute as they roll in, and then I'm going to begin. Welcome, everyone. We're so glad you've joined us for the Virtual College Exploration for all Minnesota students. This is sponsored by the Minnesota Association of College Admissions Counselors and StriveScan. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. Your camera and microphone are off, so you are muted and your video is off. The panelists cannot see or hear you. If you have questions, please feel free to use the Q&A button to type your questions to the presenters at any time. We do have other presentations this week, so if you're interested in seeing other options or signing up for other presentations, you can check the schedule out at www.strivescan.com/Minnesota. This session is being recorded, and all of the sessions are being recorded and will be available at that same website. I'm going to turn it over to our presenters. Thank you for being here tonight. On to you.
Sounds good. Well, I'll kind of start a little bit. My name is Ian Weifels. I work for Southwest Minnesota State University. And I'm one of the admission counselors there, and maybe if everybody wants to go through and just kind of introduce themselves quick so we know who we're chatting with.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us today. My name is Amy Birkland and I work at Ridgewater College, and I am also an admission and outreach specialist here, and we'll talk a little bit more tonight, but all of us here, our job is to help you navigate college and figure out how to get started.
I'll go next. My name is Emily Villarreal. I work with the University of Northern Iowa, and I'm also an admissions counselor. So please let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to work with you all tonight.
Yes, I'll go. My name is Lauren Mendez-McConkey. I work with Minnesota State University Mankato, and I am also an admissions officer. Very happy to be here.
Hi, my name is Hia Yang, and I'm an admission counselor at St. Cloud State University. Super excited to be here as well.
And I'm Lee Parker. I'm with the College of St. Scholastica. I'm an admissions representative in the Twin Cities area. So I'm happy you all can be with us on this nice sunshiny day.
Yeah, I think we better enjoy them. We're getting a little spoiled here. It sounds like it might turn around on us. So soak them in while we can, right? Well, yeah, we'll kind of dive right in. I will share my screen and we'll just kind of jump right to it. So let's see. All right, so hopefully all of you know that you're in the right place here. This panel is going to be talking about I'm first in my family to go to college. Now what? So we'll just kind of dive in straight from there.
So we kind of broke up our categories today into kind of 3 different topic areas that are important for students to know about. So if you are the first in your family to go to college, while we're all different colleges and universities here, there are some things that are just standard to higher education. And so our job today is just to cover some of those standards. As you guys develop more interest in a specific college, it's always important to reach out to that college or university because they're going to have maybe a little bit of variation, but there are certain things that just belong in higher education and things that you're going to find are very similar amongst colleges and universities within Minnesota State. The first thing that you're going to find that's really common is the role of an admission counselor. So everyone who's on the screen with you today, just about every college you come into contact with is going to have an Amy, and a Emily, a Lauren, everyone, we're going to be there. We may all have different job titles, but our goal is all the same, and that is to serve you guys and help you navigate your experience through college. So typically, someone like us is the first person you come into contact with when you reach out to a college or you inquire. Maybe you're at a college fair, or maybe you're just calling a college because you have interest in it. Typically, the first person you're going to get connected with is an admissions counselor, an admissions specialist, an admissions representative, an admissions officer. We all have different titles for doing the exact same job. And our job really is just to serve you, guide you, and help you navigate. We understand that this process is totally new to students. So we are just here to work alongside of you. And we help from everything from getting you to apply to the school to getting you enrolled into the school. So everything from A to Z, we're just here to help cover you. So if you get stuck or lost, one of the best people to just start with is your admissions counselor type role.
And since we're on the topic of communication and that being one of the keys to success as being a first generation student, obviously you'll be receiving a different variety of forms of communication from your admissions counselor or from the university, right? So it might be other departments or other offices across campus. So one of the things that we would want to encourage you as a first generation student is responding to those outreach attempts, right? So you might be receiving direct emails from us. You might be receiving university emails from the specific schools that you're interested in. You might be receiving phone calls, whether that's from your direct admissions counselor or from students who are trying to reach out and connect with you, or even text messages, right? There's different forms of communication that is going towards you. And the main thing we want you to focus on is responding to those if you're able to and you want to connect with us. Making those connections with us are very beneficial in the long run because you know that you have someone to go to if you do have any, quick questions or last minute questions. Later on, we'll obviously tackle on those connections and outreach that you can do on campus to build those connections and those relationships. But another great opportunity is connecting with current students as you're researching different institutions. I did put an example at the University of Northern Iowa. We do have a Unibuddy platform where you get to talk to current students. I'm sure other institutions have that opportunity as well, so you can connect with current students or even students who were in your shoes once as well. Again, all of these outreach attempts of getting to talk to you, getting to know you, and getting to know what questions you have for us, that's really us saying, let us help. Like Amy mentioned, we're here solely to serve you, to cater to you. So whatever questions that you might have or you might need answered, we're here to help you out. Another thing that we want to focus on, and we think it's important to communicate with, is managing your time and responsibilities. So as a first generation student, you might have a lot of things on your plate that you're trying to manage and juggle all at the same time, right? So I think one of the most important things is identifying your priorities, right? Whether that be school, your family, work, if you have a side job, or if you're babysitting, or whatever the case might be for you. You might have studying or you're researching for different universities, whatever the case might be, is identifying your priorities and finding a balance between all of them, right? Whether that's writing them down within your calendar or using a planner or getting a notebook to kind of organize your thoughts and organize your tasks and your to-do list, to again, being able to manage your time and responsibilities is really key. I put Google Calendar there as an example because a lot of us as professionals use, technology, and now we are transitioning more into virtual life. You are able to use virtual calendars so you can have easy access on your phone if that works best for you. But again, just being able to manage your time and your responsibilities will be key. And then again, asking for help when needed. Don't think that you have to do this on your own. If you are trying to figure out different tools and resources to manage your time and to figure out your responsibilities as a high school student transitioning into that college search, we're here to help. So please let us know again, as your admissions counselors, what you need from us, because we're more than happy to help out.
All right. Yeah. I will absolutely echo that, Emily. I would be lost without my calendar. So true. But yeah, so this just kind of goes into what that typical college timeline looks like. So some of you are maybe well into this at this point. Some of you are maybe juniors and you're just getting started on this. But I just kind of wanted to give you guys a breakdown of what it really looks like. So step one is obviously visit and apply to colleges or universities that you're interested in. A lot of juniors kind of start that in their second half of their junior year, seniors, maybe first half of your senior year, but know that that's not a cookie cutter, one size fits all by any means. There is certainly a bigger window than that. And I don't mean to put a box around it by any means. So if it gets to be late in the game and you're having second thoughts or you want to look at somewhere else, please do. That would be one of my biggest recommendations to all of you, is that you visit a lot of different schools, look at a 2-year and a 4-year, look at something close to home, far away, a public and a private. Sometimes you don't know what you want until you see it. So visit, apply to all of them. Applying can be kind of scary, I think. You feel like you're committing to a college or university, but best thing you can do is apply wherever you visit, or even have an inkling of interest in, because it just helps you figure out what next steps are, and it doesn't commit you to a university. So from there, your next step is to try to get admitted, and you'll kind of talk with your specific schools that you're interested in. They'll each have a little different process for what it might take to get admitted. That might be different GPA benchmarks, or some schools require require an ACT or an SAT. Some of them are test optional. So talk with your schools that you're interested in. They'll kind of let you know exactly what that get admitted piece looks like, but that's kind of step 2. From there, you want to fill out the FAFSA, apply for as many scholarships as you can, talk with financial aid offices at those various schools. FAFSA starts on October 1st. That's when you can begin filling it out, and then it wraps up on June 30th. So it's a pretty good window of time that you have to kind of navigate through that process, but it can be kind of a tricky one. It's not really easy information to decipher for a lot of students, and a lot of employees too, to be honest. That's why most colleges and universities have a whole financial aid office that specifically tackles that set of information. So again, don't be afraid to ask for help. From there, it's kind of moving through some basic steps once you're admitted. Apply for housing, go through your meal plans. Again, somewhat specific to each university out there. Some of them will require you to live on campus for 1 or 2 years or all 4 years. Some might not require it at all. So talk with your admission counselor. They'll be able to kind of coach you through what that looks like. If there are admitted student day programs at your respective universities, highly encourage you to attend those. It's a great way to maybe dive in a little further, talk with faculty, get kind of a better feel for what that campus has to offer. And a bonus is it's probably a good chance to potentially meet a roommate or bond with some students who are in similar programs to you, and get to know them a little bit ahead of time, versus kind of feeling like you haven't met anybody on that first day or week on campus. So. And then it's just kind of some housekeeping stuff from there. Submit health forms, final transcripts. If you've taken any college credit courses while you're in high school, you'll want to get those transcripts in, because there's a good chance they'll count for credit. And it's one thing you don't have to worry about later. And after that, it's just attending a registration program and enrolling for courses, and kind of what they say from there is the rest is history. So yeah, if you guys have questions throughout any of this, by the way, if it wasn't already said, type them in the chat and we'll kind of address those as we go, or maybe at the end too, if it's one that pertains to everybody. But yeah, hopefully that kind of gives you a breakdown of what that timeline looks like.
All right. So one of the things kind of brought up in the chat box for the questions is it can be unnerving and it can be scary to be the first in your family to have this experience of going to college. But just know there's a lot of resources available, including organizations that are designed specifically to help you and guide you through this process. So as you can see here, Minnesota has 63 college readiness programs designed to serve high school students and new college students. I'll throw the link in the chat here to be able to explore those later. But it's great to, you can explore these, but certainly reach out to us as admissions officers, and we can help connect you to those programs as well. Your school counselor may also be a good resource for that. But like I said, I've helped connect students to these resources, and we're really here to answer any question you may have. We want to see you succeed, and we want to get you access to those resources. All right, the link is in the chat now. So some examples of those are to look out for is the TRIO program. So TRIO is a federal program that provides specific services to students of a variety of backgrounds, including first-generation students. And most universities have a TRIO program component. So as you're exploring a university, you can often it's on their web page, check it out and see their individual program. They'll usually have a contact there where you can get connected and ask any questions you may have. Some other programs to look out for are Upward Bound, talent search programs, student support services. So these are all programs that usually are available to high school students. Again, you can ask us or your high school counselor for that support and help get you connected to those. College Possible is another program that can help with this, and AVID as well. So as admissions officers, we probably, all of us have had experience coming to speak with these groups about how we can connect you and get the information you need to be successful at college. But that, that's just a few. So check out the list and check out your college's pages on this as well.
Now, getting to know the community you're moving into as well is very important, as you are going to be spending the next 3 to 4 years here as well. So take the time to know the city that you are moving to. Research all the hotspots that's around the city, as well as activities and dining options. Take the day to just go and tour the city to see if you fit yourself in here. Do you see yourself living here as well? Check if the surrounding areas and city, how big the population is. Do you want to move in a big city, a small city wise? What's there that what type of research that could be there for you? Do you need to go get medical change? If they are offering, you don't have to live in the first year, you can go check out apartments and other resources around the city. So it's always super important to go and take the time to also know the city that you are moving to.
And there can be some helpful resources out there that just help you navigate a new community besides just researching all of that. Again, universal to most colleges and universities are these services that I have listed here. Health services, academic advisors, college counselors, scholarship office, IT help desks, career services, cultural centers and organizations, and your faculty are all excellent resources that are available on every single one of our campuses for you guys to take advantage of. There may be something that you need that one of these services listed here can't help you with. However, these are great places to go and start because they likely know someone who can help you. So they make for great connections to the outside community. So if you are moving to a town where you're not familiar or you don't know or you just aren't sure how to navigate or get around town, start with these on-campus resources because they're likely going to be able to connect you with other resources off campus that can help you. So maybe you're coming to college and you don't have a car and you have never used public transportation before. That was my case. I was like, what is happening here? We have people here on campus that can help you navigate and learn how to do that for the first time. So that's just one example. There maybe you get to college and you do end up getting really sick and it's above and beyond something that our health services center can help you with. Know that they have resources for connecting you to outside medical communities that can help you or would be willing to help you in those situations. Maybe it's a situation where you are short on cash and an emergency has come up and you need to make it back home. Come start with your on-campus resources because we can likely connect you either with something internally we have, or we can help you find something out in our communities that will be able to help you or assist you in your situation. So just know that these on-campus resources are a good place to start for helping you find things off campus that you may not know exist because you're totally new to this community. My biggest thing is to always self-advocate for yourself. I think we talk about this numerous times throughout our presentation, but it's so important. Ask, ask, ask. Continue to ask. Sometimes we don't know that there's an issue unless you tell us or you come to us or you say something. And I know how intimidating that can be. And especially when you're out of your element, you're in a totally new area. But know the people that are working on your campus are there because they genuinely care about you being successful and that you get that degree and that you get that education that you came for. So our hope is that you never have a negative encounter when you come and ask a question. Your student services area at your college or university, those are your people to kind of go to and start with. because we're all here to help see you be successful. Other opportunities for you. Some of you might qualify for work study, where you get to work on a job on campus and get paid for it. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in just the next slide here, but also consider looking at some off-campus employment, because that's going to help connect you to people outside of maybe your residence hall where you're residing. And it's going to help connect you to people and make connections outside of the campus life. Anytime that you start to feel a connection to the community you're going to live in, it's only going to help you be more successful in college. So consider it. If you have a way to get to a job off campus, think about it, because it's going to introduce you to a whole new set of people that you may not otherwise see when you're in your program area on campus. Be involved in absolutely anything that sparks your interest in college. If you get involved early and get involved often, you're going to enjoy your college career a lot more. And I think any one of us would be emphasizing that with any of our students that we meet, is find something and don't be so quick to say no to things. So it might, again, be uncomfortable and you're just not certain about it. Try it, because this is your opportunity just to learn something new, experience new, be uncomfortable, and that's okay. Lastly, make sure you plan time for friends and family back home. Schedule that time for whatever that might work for you, whether it's on your breaks from school or whatever that may be. But do allow yourself time to adjust to the new experiences you're going to have in a new community. Don't be so quick to run home every weekend. Allow yourself to be uncomfortable for a little while, because the more you do it, the more experiences you're going to find during your time here in college. And it's going to make your education that much more valuable. So this is always a big question for first-generation students. I don't know about anybody else in this panel, but I know I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around to go to college, especially when I was 18. I did not have that. And so for me, my initial thought was, man, is college totally out of the picture for me? How am I ever going to afford $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 to go to school? There's just no way. These are options that students have for paying for college. I think every one of our panelists would agree that we never want money to be a reason a student doesn't come to school. We want you here to be successful so that you're out in the workforce doing what you really love to do. So let's not make money a barrier for you pursuing what you truly want to do. For those of you who are totally fresh into college, these are kind of the top ways that students pay for school, or some options that you have for paying for school. The number one listed right at the top, this is financial aid. Sometimes gets quoted as FAFSA or the FAFSA. What we're talking about there is really 3 different sets of money that are available to students to go to school. The FAFSA stands for the Free Application for Federal Student Aid. And remember, the key word is free. So if you guys are going on to websites that are asking you to pay to do the FAFSA, you're in the wrong spot. It is a free application, so it should not cost you a thing to fill out the FAFSA. Now, financial aid is entirely based on income, so it's all income related. Every student will be awarded some type of financial aid. These forms of financial aid are listed here on the screen. Your money will either come in the form of a grant, it'll come in the form of a loan, or it'll come in the form of a work-study job. So grants, loans, and work-study is what is awarded through the FAFSA. Grants, awesome. Free federal money given to you to go to school. You do not ever owe this money back. It's been given to you to go. Loan money, that's money that you do owe back either 6 months after you graduate, or you may owe it back immediately if you stop attending school or you fall below part-time. Last one is a work study, and that's a job you get to hold on campus and you get paid to do that job. So there's work study jobs all over campuses. Sometimes working in an admissions office could be a work study job. Working for our custodial staff working in the bookstore. All of those are examples on campuses where you could get paid to have a job just on campus and hanging out. So remember, based on your parents and your own income status from 2 years prior, grants, loans, or work study will be awarded to you. Some students will qualify for all 3 types. Some students may only qualify for one type, but as long as you have not earned a bachelor's degree already, there should be financial aid money available to you. The second opportunity you have is scholarship opportunities. And remember, you can continue to apply for scholarships throughout your whole time in college. So a lot of people are great. They do it right away their senior year. And then while they're in school, they just kind of forget about it. But that money is still available to students even when you're in college. So every semester, every year, depending on how your college structures their scholarship opportunities, apply. There is a lot of money, and there are people who are donating money to watch you be successful because they know the value that you contribute. So make sure that you apply for scholarships. That money is given to you by community members, by other members of the college. College staff can donate to these opportunities. They're just people out there that just want to see you be successful. So make sure you continue to apply early and you apply often for those things. Other students have what is called a third-party payer. So sometimes you may have an employment or an employer who is willing or wanting to pay for you to go to school. There's some opportunities for that as well. We see that a lot with our technical programs here. If there's really a demand in a certain trade, oftentimes third-party payers, whether they're employers, maybe they're friends, family, relatives of you, they're willing to pay for you to go to school. So there are options and opportunities out there like that. Lastly, payment plans are always available for students too. So maybe you decide, you know what, I don't want to take out any loan money. I would rather just pay as I go for school. There are options for you to do payment plans where you can pay for school in just smaller increments. And just check out those payment plans at each of your upcoming institutions or the ones that you're interested in. Most will offer you a payment plan option where you can just pay semester by semester and make multiple payments throughout your time in college.
All right, so going through and kind of talking about support systems here. Oh, sorry, I went too far. And I know we've got some questions in the chat. We will address those if we haven't already. I promise we will get to them at the end here. So, but college it can certainly feel overwhelming. One of the best things, I think we've alluded to it already, but surround yourself with support systems. There's a ton of things that are available to you guys that are really valuable and ways to kind of set yourself apart a little bit and to just make sure that you don't start feeling overwhelmed or like there's just too much to handle. So best thing you can do is surround yourself with that support system. Next best thing you can do is use it. Take advantage. Don't there should be no shame in asking for help. I know, just in my professional career alone, I have a team that I work with on campus every day, and I can't think of a day that goes by where I'm not bouncing ideas off of somebody, asking for help, or just kind of using my colleagues as a sounding board. So yeah, don't feel bad if you got to ask for help or you're just not quite sure on some things. So a couple tips with what that might look like. Build a relationship with your academic advisor. I think that was one that we had touched on a little while back here, but hindsight's always 20/20. If there's something I could go back and do it again for my college career, it would have been building a better relationship with my academic advisor. By the time I graduated, it was pretty good, but early on in my freshman and sophomore year, he just wasn't somebody I had gotten to know as well as I should have to that point. And it was certainly something I would have benefited from if I did. So there's somebody who will help you map out a 2 or a 4 year plan and kind of let you know what that looks like. They're going to potentially be a good reference for you down the road. They might be somebody who points you towards internships or full-time work after you graduate. Truly get to know your academic advisor and use the resources that they have available. So another one that we've kind of touched on already, but get involved in clubs and organizations, at least one, more if you're comfortable. Personal belief for me, but I kind of live by the mantra, it's not always what you know, it's who you know. And I don't at all mean to say that your degree is not important. But the networking that you can do along the way and the people you meet is certainly half the battle. So take advantage of that. Get involved in clubs, organizations, student activities. Set yourself apart, network, and meet new people, and you'll be surprised at what kind of doors that will open for you. So make friends in class so that you can form study groups outside of it. Get to know your classmates. It can be kind of awkward walking up to somebody, sitting down next to a classmate that you've never met before, but I can guarantee you they're thinking the same thing you are. They're trying to meet new people, and maybe they're a little bit shy or uncomfortable or not quite sure how to do that. So don't be afraid to take it on yourself. Walk up to somebody, introduce yourself, and get to know them. You might be surprised at what kind of relationships form out of those early introductions you can make. So, and yeah, use those study groups. Lots of colleges and universities have excellent places where you can take advantage of quiet hours or, libraries, student commons areas, study with your friends, with your classmates. It'll make it a lot more enjoyable for you, I think. So check your email every day. Most colleges and universities use that as kind of the de facto messaging platform that they communicate with their students. So yeah, get comfortable with email if you're not already. I promise you that is something that you will certainly need to be using on a college campus or university. So check your email. And then seek help from college resources that are available. We've covered a lot of them already, but there's a lot that are probably going to go unmentioned just because of the sheer amount of them that are available. So yeah, ask for help. I mean, Amy really drilled that into you guys last time, and I'm going to kind of keep going on that train here. Ask for help when you need it. Come find us. We, typically admission counselors work with students coming in, but I can guarantee you any one of us would be more than happy to help a sophomore or junior student who had questions and came to us and was looking for a finger point in the right direction. So yeah, happy to help, and don't be afraid to ask. All right, some messaging for first generation students.
Okay, that's me. First of all, I want you to know that you're not alone. As you can see, everyone's talking that we're here to help you. You got to give yourself some grace, and you need to ask for help. And here's why. Going to college is the second biggest financial investment that most people make in their lives. Number one is usually their home or their business. Second is your education. You need to have a team around you that's going to help you, and you need to ask questions. I'm going to do this for you. I'll remind you to not afraid to be ugly. Don't be afraid to be ugly. If you don't know something, please ask. Chinese philosopher Confucius in the 4th century said this, and I'm going to modify it just a little bit. It goes like this. The person who questions is a fool for a minute, but the person who never questions is a fool for life. That quote has always stuck with me. You're not gonna know all the acronyms. We're throwing out a bunch of terms right now. You probably don't have a clue what half of them mean. That means you need to ask someone. That means you need to buddy up with somebody so that you can get the information that you need to make an informed decision on what's going to be the right school for you. Mention it's the second biggest financial investment that most people make in their lives. Some people won't even go for it because they think it's too much money. But I put into the link, put into the chat, a link to the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. If you open it up, you'll see that you cannot afford not to go to college. It shows by degree attainment how much money you make over a lifetime or a yearly salary. I'm hoping you take a look at it. It also shows just how likely you are to be unemployed if you don't have a college education. It's a good graph. Take a look at it. And we talked a little bit about affordability a little bit earlier. And basically, if you look at that chart, what it's telling you that based on the level of knowledge you attain or the degree you obtain, if you obtain a 4-year degree, after you pay back all your loans and pay for school, you'll earn on average $1.2 million more than will a person who just graduates from high school. You just can't not afford, you can't you can't overlook that fact. You got to take this chance for yourself. Sometimes you'll be doubting, oh, am I good enough for college? Do I fit in? Give yourself some grace. No institution is going to admit a student that they think can't do the work. Look at the chart there. Just stick to it. It's just a transition in life. Like you went from middle school to high school. And I don't know if any of you like me, I was terrified. It was a transition, didn't know anybody, new language, all kinds of new activities to get involved with. But if you step out of your comfort zone, you will do it. Are you ready for college? Yes, you are.
Now, coming as a first generation and as a person of color as well, sometimes in some certain institution you may go to and it's going to be predominantly white. And as that definition there, just meaning that half of that enrollment may be students of color who are white. And at times you may feel around your setting or when you're sitting in class, you may be the only person of color or very few of those sitting in your class, and you may just feel discomfort or out of place, or you feel like you don't belong there and you feel like there's a lack of diversity in those institutions. Like Lee said, you are fit in any place that you want to be. Know that at all institutions, there's always going to be a resource and organization to be a part of. Always check out your multicultural student services on campus as well, and any support that they have. They typically run almost an event that's always welcoming anybody to be a part of that, to provide support for any of those students. Be in ethnic groups as well. For me, I joined HSO, which was a Hmong student organization, being part of that community, knowing that you're not alone in that university all by yourself. Join sports club as well. If you guys have similar sports clubs, being there that you can being there so that you know that you're not alone, as well as any academic association. Once you get into your major, you're going to be with those people for the next 2 years, as well as go out and meet new people and explore and share your own experience in class and peers. No one knows best than your own experience as a person of color and a first generation when you're going into a predominantly white institution. And that is really important to share and bring in that inclusive, that when you come into university, you bring in that advantage of having a person of colors, your mindset, your views, inclusiveness, diversity on campus, and so much things that you can do, and don't think of it as a disadvantage at all. So being a first generation and person of color, it is very important, as well as knowing that you will always have a place in colleges for everybody.
Right, yeah. So I think this is kind of brings us close to a wrap here, which is maybe timing out well. We got a couple minutes for questions, but I'll leave this slide up. This is all of our names and our respective institutions, universities that we work for. So don't be afraid to reach out. I'm sure maybe all of us can, type our email in the chat as well, just so that if you need to reach out to us, you got a way to get a hold of us. But yeah, I'll kind of turn it over to our participants right now. If anybody has questions, wants to type them in the chat or voice them, please feel free to do so. And we'll kind of take them from there. So let's see, let's see. First question says, how can we get comfortable talking to the professor or classmates? I guess I'll kind of give my answer for it, but anybody feel free to chime in. So one thing I would tell you is, some of that is, you'll have to take that on yourself a little bit. You'll have to feel free to reach out to your classmates, sit down, and be comfortable being uncomfortable, I guess, is maybe the best way I can say it. I can almost promise you that students who are sitting in the chair next to you are probably feeling a little bit uncomfortable as well, but you'll get opportunities to meet students within those classes, whether it's through, potential group work, getting to know students over the duration of a semester. Their opportunities will present themselves, but it'll fall on you to take those opportunities as well. So as far as faculty go, I don't know if I've ever come across faculty members who, don't have the time to get to know students. Almost all of them have office hours that they are more than willing to sit down and meet with students. They want to hear your story. They want to know where you're coming from, what your background is, and find a way to connect with you, because that's ultimately what will help them help you be successful. So,
Yeah, sometimes it can be intimidating, Dr. So-and-so, or they have this title. Lose the title. They're a resource to you and you're a help to them. Maybe they need you to work in their lab as a research assistant. It's a win-win situation. As soon as you open that dialogue, everybody wins. So see yourself as being an asset to that instructor or whoever, because if you're telling the faculty member or the professor, hey, when you present in class like this way, some students get confused. Well, that helps that professor become a better professor because they know that they need to do some refinement. So don't be afraid to open your mouth. Closed mouths don't get fed.
I would also say just be engaged during class, be that first one to reach out to them instead of waiting for them to reach out to you. Kind of like Ian said, it's always going to be uncomfortable, and maybe that other person is feeling the same way too. And just being the first person to reach out. There's actually another question here as well. It says, is it normal to be scared of taking exams or grade? It's always scary your first year. I would say from my own experience, it is always scary because you never know. But just know that to prepare yourself, ask questions, study with groups of your friends, of other peers in your class as well. And then you will see a difference as well when you're comparing high school to college. It will be a little bit different. So that's a little bit what I have to say.
I did just want to share about the resource I just put in the chat box. It's a podcast made by students, first generation students sharing their experiences. And it's really helpful to hear. They cover things from how they went about selecting a major to one student shares a story about not knowing what IT stood for, information technology, and feeling really discouraged by that, but then finding out, she wasn't alone with those. So if it's helpful to hear stories of other people's experiences, these podcasts are 7 to 10 minutes long and really a great chance to hear from other students about their experiences.
Sorry, Amy, were you going to say something?
I was going to read the next one, but maybe you were beating me to it. So if you're going to go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to read the next question. It says, for study abroad to be better if I wait for the second or third year instead of doing it my first year. If any of the mission counselor have ever studied abroad, I did a short-term study abroad that I went for 4 weeks to Thailand, also Malaysia. I actually went on my 4th year, so it's really going to be up to you. Some university may not like allow first year students to go, but at St. Cloud State, we do have that first year experience for students to go and study abroad. But I would say that once you're in your program, I would have wished I actually done it earlier, because once I got my program, I was really busy. I actually took 18 credits by the time I finished to go and study abroad. So it was a lot of class and a lot of my more major core classes. So
the advice I would give for the study abroad program, and I think Ian mentioned it a little bit earlier, have a relationship with your academic advisor, because that person can help get you on a graduation plan, show you where a study abroad program might fit into your schedule, and so you don't miss a beat in terms of graduation. There's programs from 3 weeks to a full year, but it has to be the right program for the right student at the right time.
Are college midterms and finals really that difficult? I think that question can somewhat vary because every professor has different expectations on what that midterm or final might really look like. For some instructors, it might be a formal written test that covers the entire semester of learning. For others, it may be just writing an essay about what you learned throughout your semester. So yes, they can be time consuming. There's typically some sort of project or studying that goes into it. But each class is going to be kind of dependent upon what the instructor feels like is important for you to learn in those situations. So not a total answer to your question, but it'll really depend on how your professor instructs their class.
I would say on average, because I'm a kind of a numbers person, but by the numbers, students on average will perform exactly in college as they did in the high school. Maybe a little bit unless something really drastic happened. But most students don't move away from their performance in the high school, about the same. Would you all say that you have about the same GPA as you did in high school, in college?
Mhm.
What a
I actually
wonderful,
did better.
what
I
a
did better.
fantastic presentation. I'm so sorry to wrap this up. I think we were all lucky to hear lots of great wisdom and information. When this, after you close this window, you're going to get a quick 4-question survey that we would really appreciate if you completed that. Please think about signing up for more of these fantastic sessions at www.strivescan.com/Minnesota. If you really liked what you heard today and you want to share it with others, this session was recorded and is going to also be available at www.strivescan.com/Minnesota. I want to just take a moment to thank our fantastic presenters, and we're so grateful for a really wonderful session. Thanks all. Good night.
Good night, everyone.